Welcome everybody. What we see at the moment these days in Bosnia and Herzegovina are serious, unexpected demonstrations for the first time since the war, so for the past 1.5 decades roundabout. We are very happy, we are very glad to have an expert here with us, Adnan Huskic, the Programme Coordinator of the Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom for Bosnian Herzegovina, and he has his office, he is based in Sarajevo. Welcome to that short interview.
Thank you very much.
Adnan, what is going on there?
Well, what we have right now are the demonstrations which have turned violent, especially on Friday last week. What happened is that the government buildings in Sarajevo, in Zenica, in Tuzla, and in Mostar was set on fire by demonstrators. This is really serious, violent demonstrations, perhaps the most serious expression of civic dissatisfaction for the past 20 years.
What is the reason for that? What is your explication for that?
Well, Bosnia was designed after the war as a very complex administrative system. One problem is that there is an oversized public administration. The salaries in the public administration exceed those in private sector by nearly 200 euros on average. Each successive government for the past 15 to 20 years did nothing to reduce the public spending, did nothing to ease the burden on the private enterprises, and essentially this culminated now where the situation has become in a way economically unsustainable. Bosnia was designed as an economically unsustainable system, but the irresponsibility by the power-hungry and corrupt political elites has brought us now in this situation.
What has the Naumann Foundation been doing there for the last years, and what could be the role to cool down that conflict now?
We've been working intensively on some of the issues that the demonstrators have now identified as the source of all this problem and the dissatisfaction. For instance, the issue of corruption, fight against corruption, the corruption which is really widespread in Bosnia. We've organized several events jointly with the Transparency International in Bosnia, and also we worked very hard in terms of profiling our partners on the ground to work with these issues, and I'm talking about the political parties that we cooperate with. However, the problems are really systemic, very difficult, so it takes a lot of effort to basically try to produce an effect.
What about the upcoming future? What do we expect? What will happen?
Well, what we have right now is a situation where 4 governments in the regions, in cantons, have stepped down under pressure from protesters. There are some organizations which resemble some form of direct democracy. The plena are being organized in these cities where citizens directly participate in all this, trying to provide solutions of what needs to be done now. How it's going to proceed from this point onward is very difficult to say. This situation in a way resembles now, especially because of very arrogant response on the side of the political elites, even the French Revolution, because some of their statements seem to resemble the statement by Marie Antoinette, the legendary statement, yet unconfirmed. The legendary statement, "Let them eat the cakes," because our politicians seem to be completely amazed by the fact that these demonstrations have taken place because they don't understand what exactly is the problem. And this arrogance has now created a situation where citizens are completely dismissing political parties. They are trying to organize themselves. I think that the government will have to strike back, because some of the information that I have, that the cantonal government is purchasing a new equipment for the riot police, rubber bullets, in a way indicates that this is not going to settle down, this is going to culminate, and I think that both parties have in a way moved beyond the point of no return. So even though this is not a very good thing to say, I think that these violent protests have just started.
Last question, what does the conflict mean for the region?
Well, the region is afraid of the conflict. Both neighboring countries, Serbia and Croatia, have rallied behind the political elites, their respective friends and political elites in Bosnia, to try to calm the situation down, but actually to prevent this from spilling over into their countries. There were some demonstrations yesterday in Zagreb, There were also demonstrations in Belgrade to very low intensity, but everybody fears what this might actually indicate in terms of things to come, and everybody's trying to contain the situation. Whether they will be successful in this sense, I don't know. I know that some a lot of intellectuals have already expressed support for demonstrators, hoping that this is perhaps a first step in some systemic change in the Western Balkans. However, I think it's too early to say what particular form these demonstrations will in the future have.
Thank you very much, Adnan, our expert from Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.